Okay, here we go. Okay, JR, we should be good. We should be good to go. I believe. All right, JR, how about that? Top of the list. And folks, you don't want to miss this. Latest now. Good afternoon, everybody. Right now, we're about to go live on the radio, but as we speak, we are live. Ready? On Facebook, X, YouTube. You're going to want to hear this. Human Remains. There's Mary. Lynn Miller. There is Lynn Miller. I had a dream last night that Lynn Miller sent some stars. Unfortunately, it's just a dream. There's Carlos. He's back. There's good afternoon, Garney. There's Heather. Hi, everybody. Folks, finally some decent spring weather. Been out running around. Hi there, Colleen. Yes, folks, you're going to want to hear this. Yep. There's Jane Rice. Wait a minute. No one told me Jane was going to be here. There's Jade Lynn. We have exclusive details. Female human remains found in Foster. Already have some info on this. Well, I have an idea. Hi there. Good. I like that. Just afternoon, says Pat. We don't know, Jessica. We don't know. We're on it. We don't know. Yep. Oh, that's nice. I would like that. There's Renee. Good afternoon, everybody. I was quite a Road Patrol Live last night. Pawtucket Police did put out a statement that I'm going to. I'll go over right now. I'm going to go over right now. Oh, that's nice. I will read that. Pawtucket Police. For those who were watching last night, and we're going to get to Foster. Where's my Pawtucket? First of all, last night, Newport. Do you see the number of police for Newport? Goodness, 12 Dudley Avenue. Male had been stabbed. Possible suspect in the area. California plates. 35-year-old male, multiple stab wounds in the back. He's in stable condition, Rhode Island Hospital. They identified the suspect, 39-year-old Hezekiah Mendoza. Might as well call ICE on this one, guys. We get to Pawtucket. Where's my Pawtucket story? Nope. Where's my Pawtucket story? Here we go. Last night, 7:50, Pawtucket police responded to the Walgreens parking lot after watching Road Patrol Live. 100 Broad Street, report of a man shot. Officers came upon a 27-year-old male, injuries to his face, shot in the face and leg. Subsequently transported to an area hospital. Victim is not cooperating with investigators. Detectives, with the help of Road Patrol Live, are trying to determine where the shooting occurred and what may have led to it. Anyone with information, contact the following: Detective Austin Webb, Detective James Doyle, or contact Road Patrol Live. That is from Pawtucket Police. So, folks, as people know by now, I mean, look at that. There's even the police saying we were watching Road Patrol Live when we realized that someone had been shot and was in the Walgreens parking lot. So certainly take that as a realize that someone had been shot and was in the Walgreens parking lot. So certainly take that as a realize that someone had been shot and was in the Boy, this guy's Walgreens making a lot of sense, lot. Isn't he? Certainly take that as a realize. Take that as a compliment. Boy, this guy's making a lot of sense. All right, enough of that. A little bit of echo. I believe we're also live on YouTube, but our lead story is the Foster story. Yep. Mystery and Foster. That's what it says on YouTube. Let's see. Foster. There we go. That's what it says on YouTube. Look at that. Nice. Folks, remember, you can watch on YouTube. Foster. What some people like about YouTube Look at that. Nice. Is you can make it small on the screen, but Facebook is very interactive. All right, we're going to wait for JR, and then we're going to begin the real news, uncensored, unfiltered, real news. Yes. Oh, Lynn Miller. Good afternoon. Yes. Thank you, Garney. I appreciate that. How about that? You know, I don't mind it. Anything we can do to try to help law enforcement. Folks, that's why, I mean, people use the phrase crime fighter. I mean, that's what it's all about. And if you watch, I mean, who else? Cranston Police recognized in the press conference. All right, we're live right now at 106. Good afternoon. Remember, this is, yes, true. This is the real news. Unlike some of the fake. No, this is the real news. And as I was mentioning, right now we are live on Facebook, on X, on YouTube, and also with the help of the great JR, we are also live on AM 1380, 99.9 FM. Now, someone asked me, is it true that you can listen online at the website, DePetro.com? That is true. I can confirm that. And we're going to have some new stories going up a little bit later this afternoon on this Thursday, March 27th. We have another weekend in March. Tomorrow's the 28th. Saturday is the 29th. Sunday's the 30th. Monday, it's still March 31st. And then Tuesday is April 1st. So this is the real news. Now, we're live. We have so many new people that tune in. We are live in this type of format. Some people have asked, have you thought about going longer? Right now, we're very comfortable with just the hour. So as far as being live like this, and then obviously you can listen to the radio version and so forth, or format. But for right now, we are comfortable here, and I'm going to tell you about this Foster mystery. You know, right now, no one else has this type of information. We're going to break it down for you. Folks, this portion of the program, I want to tell you how impressed I am. And they are just so dynamic individuals. And I enjoy, listen, they are the type of people you want to be around. And I'm talking about Ed and Roxanne at Arch Design Builders. Now, they specialize in residential design. These are the type of people, when we're talking about a remodeling of your home, your space, where your family gathers, where memories are made. Think of the home you grew up in. Think of your first home. There's something about that. What do people say? I just want to go home. This is who you invite into your home. And they can redesign your home. And they're a joy to deal with. And it is my privilege and honor to let you know about them. Ed and Roxanne, call them today. Set up that first meeting, 401-207-4124. Arch Design Builders. Any questions or comments? Set up that free consultation meeting. I share their Facebook page, but you can call them at 401-207-4124. What are we talking about? Maybe it is time redo the kitchen or bathroom, or maybe it's a deck, or walls need to come down and we want to expand the family living space, bathroom, basement, living room, special projects. Arch Design Builders. This is who you want to deal with. Ed and Roxanne, high-end build. It's the level of customer service. It's about integrity. It's about trust. It's about commitment to excellent craft workmanship. Could I say anything nicer about these tremendous people? Arch Design Builders. Call them today, 401 218 9707. When I spend time with them, I love hearing stories that they get called and they meet someone. And it's maybe just going to be a small project. And then they say, come to think of it, could you also take a look at the kitchen? Could you also, we've been thinking of changing the deck. And as a matter of fact, we also happen to have, my son's home, or we have another home we'd like you to take a look at. That's where it just continues to expand. You only build and expand that type of relationship with people that believe in what they're doing. It's more of a calling. It's more of a career calling dedication. It is a commitment to excellence that goes through integrity and trust. Arch Design Builders. It is my pleasure to introduce you to them. 401 218 9707. Now, I do mention DePetro.com, which is brought to you by the Cohasset Inn, 226 Cohasset Avenue, West Warwick. Lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge. You know they're waiting for you, and they are at the Cohasset Inn. Let's get right to the big story of the day. I know last night some people were disappointed I didn't go out to Foster. Listen, that's a tough crime scene at night. You can't see anything. State police have you stay way back. So you're out in the woods. People like, I can't see anything. Well, that makes two of us. I can't either. So we were in Pawtucket. Pawtucket, at any moment last night in Pawtucket, they may have grabbed the suspect, or they could have been a chase, or could have found more victims. I opted for Pawtucket. But let's get to our lead story on this Thursday, and that is the Rhode Island State Police. Now, people are questioning, why is the Rhode Island State Police involved? Because Foster, nothing against Foster Police, they don't handle a lot of homicides. That's why people live in Foster. They use the assistance of the Rhode Island State Police. And so late yesterday, Rhode Island State Police responded to a wooded area in Foster to investigate a report of human remains. Now, Foster Police were initially notified by a local resident. Foster Police, they wouldn't have any police available if they then jumped in on this. In State Police, they do assist certain police departments. They certainly have the manpower. They also have, certain technical aspects that they can do. You saw Cranston Police. By the way, I like when one law enforcement branch brings in another. So you saw Cranston. Cranston said, hey, listen, we're trying to find this missing woman, Linda. If we can get help from FBI, if we can get help from state police, we get help from Providence Police, we'll take it. But back to Foster. Discovery of human remains found. Now, the remains belong to an unidentified female of unknown age. Circumstances surrounding the death are considered suspicious, and the investigation is in its preliminary stages. Now, let's talk about this. First of all, right now, maybe people know or don't know. There's a number of missing people. There are. There's one out of Bristol. There's one out of Warwick. Michelle Romano. It was, let's see, today's Thursday. Cranston on Monday, they had the news. Well, obviously had the press conference on the missing woman out of Cranston. That ended up happy. She was found alive. On Tuesday, Warwick Police put out a statement about Michelle Romano, who's missing out of Warwick since last summer. And then I put it out yesterday. What I thought was interesting yesterday was the fact that Warwick Police, who provided me with the statement, basically opened the door that the investigation was wide open. So what I see right now is, I was glad to see, as a result of what happened over the weekend, stay with me here, over the weekend in Cranston as a result of that. And we were interviewing people and talking about it. And I want to commend the caregivers that we talked to, whether it was Gina or Chrissy, and they were talking about that we need a system, a better system, when someone with disabilities goes missing. What do I mean by that? If a young child is abducted, they issue an Amber Alert. I think a lot of people are confused about an Amber Alert. Amber Alert is about an abduction. That's about a child comes off the school bus or what have you, leaving the playground and is abducted. And many times they're known kidnapped, sometimes by a parent, but we have an Amber Alert that goes out, whoever it may be, description of the child, age, photo, so forth. You have a Silver Alert. Sometimes we have an older adult that becomes disoriented and wanders off and so forth, Silver Alert. We don't have an alert for disabled adults, and that is something they're looking at legislation. I was so glad to see the Cranston police chief call out and say that he believes it's needed and people are listening. We talked about it all weekend long. And on Saturday and Sunday, I was saying, and I learned more about it. We do need some kind of alert system for whether it be special needs children and or adults. There are adults that are nonverbal and they run a risk. I've heard from so many parents that say, my biggest fear is my son, who is, whatever age, late 20s, early 30s, into his 40s. He's nonverbal. He becomes extremely nonverbal if there's anxiety and he doesn't know a stranger, and he runs the risk of an encounter with police where he's not answering questions. He wants to get out of the situation. A number of things can go wrong. But I believe right now on this Thursday, I think we need a better database for people that are missing. I recognize, I want to say this, there are a number of people that put this someone missing, and they're actually not missing. And what do I mean by that? There are runaways. There are people, adults. Let's just be on, I like to deal in reality, that they go on drug binges and disappear for a few days. That happens. There are people like that. And I know it's very difficult for the family because they disappear for days at a time and then they're fine. And then they surface, or they resurface, I should say. I know of a family, and it puts them through hell all the time. As this family that I've gotten to know, at least once a year, their sister/daughter, she's in her early 40s and kind of works but doesn't work, floats around. If there's a group of people she meets and they're going out to Block Island for the weekend, she goes along. A little bit of a wild child, so to speak, kind of a party person. But the problem is she disappears at different times, and sometimes days at a time. She's out somewhere or wherever, meets someone. Hey, we're going to wherever. Disappears. Family can't reach her. They're always worried sick, and then she shows up. But the problem is then sometimes those people do disappear, and they run into foul play. So I believe the state could use a better system for tracking missing people. You also, you have teen runaways. There's a couple right now, and they're not missing. And I don't want to get a long thing about it, but they don't want to be living where they live. They don't want to live where they live. And there's a variety of reasons for it. Their family moved. They liked all their friends are back where they used to live. Sometimes there's a mother's boyfriend or stepfather. Most of the time it's a mother's boyfriend that makes the teen girl uncomfortable and just doesn't want to live there. So they go and they're living somewhere else. They're not missing. But then there are people who are missing. Linda was missing. Charlotte Lester, missing. Michelle Romano, I believe she's missing. There is a family member. I have to deal in reality. There are family members that claim, no, she's in California. She's on the West Coast. There are, I don't know, I don't know what's true and what's not true. I say that though, but seemingly there's always people that come forward and say that. You know, even though they found Charlotte Lester's remains in a shallow grave and Mark Perkins was arrested, there was someone that knew Charlotte was saying, "Oh no, I think I saw a picture of her. She's wherever." I mean, there are people, by the way, that are wrong, but there doesn't seem to be a shortage of missing people. Now with Foster, let's talk about this. They have the human remains. It goes to the state crime lab, and now they're going to try to match up and see if it matches. It is a female. If there is someone that's missing and they have their DNA, and then they can match it up. Now, we just had the situation in Coventry. The situation in Coventry where they found remains last spring, and then they went back and found more with the help of the FBI. If you remember, in Coventry, that was late November, early December. And Coventry police had that press conference and said they did identify who they're the remains of. And that is an open investigation. A lot of information about who that was, who disappeared a couple of years ago. So, and that remains open. So I don't know. Now, I also want to mention, but I want to stay on track. But this is important. And I have more information about Foster. But let me stay on track, folks. This portion of our program is brought to you by Propane Plus. Call them today for all your propane needs. 401 885 4209. In Massachusetts, 508 252 3359. Propane Plus Heating and Cooling. They have a great website, residential, commercial. You type in your zip code, you can depend on Propane Plus. Again, you can go to their website, propaneplus.com, or type in their zip code at the website. It's Propane Plus, residential or commercial. Or remember, call them at 401 885 4209. Heating or cooling, you can depend on Propane Plus in Massachusetts, 508 252 3359 for Propane Plus. Many times, folks, my experience has been at 122, where some of these cases get very difficult. Very difficult is, but we have to deal in reality. We do have some unsolved crimes right now. We have the individual that was killed at that music studio in North Providence. You have the woman that had been a nurse at the ACI. She was killed in her home, body found in her home, not December of 24, December of 23. But what you need to understand is, if one person commits a crime, that person can keep a secret. If it ventures beyond that, it becomes very difficult to keep a secret. You know, Ben Franklin has the expression, 3 can keep a secret if 2 are dead, but one person can keep a secret. Many times, if it's a lone wolf, if it's one person that was involved in the homicide, sometimes that person dies or that person just holds on to the secret. When it starts to go beyond that, then it starts to fall apart. Or, actually, if there's more than one person involved, it's easier to solve. You had the Carbuncle Pond situation with the woman that was thrown in there. The guys picked her up in Brockton. First, they drove to Buttonwoods, and then she was pregnant. They threw her in Carbuncle Pond in Coventry. That was in December of 23. No, 22. December of 22? I'm starting to get it confused. Right now it's 25. This past December was December 24. I had the cancer surgery in December of 23. Carbuncle Pond was 20. I believe it was 22. But anyhow, staying with that, yeah, it was 22. That's so Now, also, I want to also point something out about Foster and where this, um, where the human remains were found. So, right near Luther Road. So, Luther Road, very remote. It's right off of Route 102. Route 102, which is Plainfield Pike. You have Luther Road. And as you look at that in Foster, it's out there, but something else, it's not that far from the Connecticut line. So I know a little bit, and we're going to start to. There's an investigator that I'm going to start to have on the program for situations like this and talk a little bit. It's not that far from the Connecticut line. It's not like right on the Connecticut line, but it's pretty close. I mean, Luther Road is it's not that far from Foster Country Club. It's not far from there. And Foster Country Club is right on the Rhode Island Connecticut line. So what does that mean? It means that it could be a missing person out of Connecticut. It's another female, though. Something has to be done. Something has to be done about these. It's horrific. It's horrific. These women that go missing. These women that are targets. These women that fall in with the wrong type of, and many times they can be victims. For instance, the woman they found in Coventry, and that's still unsolved. She was from Coventry. She was living in Providence, but she was from Coventry. And then her body was found in Coventry. So I believe that whatever happened with that, and there's things we don't know about it. We don't know cause of death, but other than it was suspicious, they hold on to that type of info. I believe the woman whose remains, the human remains found in Coventry at the end of last year. I think that was someone from Coventry, someone she knew. I'm not trying to get into victim shaming here, but there is a possibility that the female found in Coventry, and again, I'm not trying to traumatize the family, but could have been involved a little bit with, two consenting adults doing certain favors for a certain fee. It's you put yourself in a situation of risk in a situation like this. So now let's talk about this case in Foster. Human remains found. All right, well, someone found them. Someone called police, obviously suspicious. We don't know the nature of, was it a shallow grave like the Charlotte Lester situation? There's several questions that we don't know. So let's talk about what we know and what we don't know. We don't know how long they've been there. They have released that it was female. They'll now go through the state crime lab to try to determine. With Charlotte Lester, they knew fairly quickly. With the Charlotte Lester case, that hunter found the remains on Saturday, immediately got it to the crime lab, and boom, they flipped that around really quickly. So, without knowing all the details, but I would believe that they have some missing people. Right now, what you have are the human remains of a Jane Doe in Foster. That female, how old, they have not released. White, black, Latino, we don't know that. There's a lot we don't know. How old, how tall, how, height, complexion. We don't know these things. We don't know how long that person has been there. Is it relatively new? Have they been there for a while? The nature of how they were found, all those things. But one thing about that area, although it's remote, and I was talking to an investigator about this, that can although it's remote and you don't have a lot of cameras, one would think around there. But what you do have, and it's really interesting, is the fact that it's remote sometimes can be a good thing because there aren't that many cars that travel up and down that road. If you were to say we're going to try to figure out all the cars that were on 146, 146 has tremendous amount of traffic, a lot of cars back and forth, north and south on 146 every day. Some of these remote areas, not so much. So they have incredible technology with these cell towers. So we learned from the Carbuncle Pond case that if you have someone, they'd be able to get a read on all the different vehicles or cell phones that were going past that. Folks, there's people don't realize how many things as you are just riding along in your vehicle with your mobile device that you don't even realize that it's bouncing off all different types of towers. And law enforcement has made tremendous gains with also these flock cameras. So, yes, remote, but it's also not exactly easy to get to. Where I'm looking at this Luther Road in Foster. You have the George B. Parker Woodland Wildlife, and then it comes into Highland Rod and Gun Club is not far from where the remains were found. So, although Foster and Route 102, as much as it is somewhat remote, it that can help in an investigation because it's not 20,000 cars that are going by. So I think it's we don't know where this is going to lead. We don't know how long this investigation is going to, in fact, um, how long they're going to go with it. They may, I mean, they're especially when it's state police, they play it really close to the vest. They're in no rush. The state crime lab um, could already be working to see if there's a match. I know that if they find, and that's also I want to point out at 132, if you are in any way connected with a missing persons case, you want to make sure that the state crime lab has some element of the missing person's DNA. And you want to make sure through law enforcement that you want to make sure of that because the family would immediately be notified if they find someone who is missing. And right now, with who is found in Foster is a mystery. That, especially, of the suspicious nature, that is something that they would contact the family immediately on that. I also want to point out because so many people, um, they deem someone's missing, and this is something I've learned over time. As I've said, I think there should be different categories of someone that is missing, and I'll give you an example in just a moment. But folks, this portion of the program, and it's brought to you by Kids Club. Remember, Kids Club, they're so terrific and perfect. They're right now taking summer camp reservations, Kids Club on the Pike. You can call them and tell them you want to reserve a spot for your child or children, several, 401 443 5336. Some people may think it's too soon or too early. It's not. Spots, they fill up. Kids Club on the Pike, located right on the Cranston Johnson line off of 295 on Plainfield Pike. And maybe it's for a week, maybe it's for a month, maybe it's for the entire summer. They have all different types of activities. It's at least worth the phone call and checking it out. Kids Club on the Pike, 401 443 5336. Remember, they're available for a birthday party venue, before and after school care, preschool, and right now they're taking reservations for summer camp. It's Kids Club on the Pike, 401 443 5336. I want to also, because I do have people reach out to me, and we work. I am most comfortable. We work through police. There are people all the time. Can you post this guy? He broke into my house. He stole these things. Can you put his picture up? I say, did you contact the police? No, they won't do anything, but I just want it out there. Well, I'm not doing, I mean, I have no idea who this person is. Missing person. Right now, what we have in Foster, this is a mystery. This is a missing person mystery. Sure sounds like a homicide. Sounds like a homicide was committed and someone was put there. So, but let's look at this. There are people. I won't mention any specific circumstances. There are people that tragically the family knows that the individual is struggling. It could be something sudden. It could be something they've been dealing with for a while, and then the family finds a note, and it's from the person, and the person leaves their phone and billfold or purse at the house, and it's very tragic and sad that they leave essentially a goodbye note and disappear. And many times it's near a body of water, what have you. And I recognize that that would be very difficult for the family because, as they say, the family wants closure, but many times that's a different category. I'm not suggesting the person's, in a sense, not missing, but that becomes a lot of times, many times, there are cases of someone who it is a self-harm case. They listen, we're the ocean state. They go somewhere near the water. And it's very sad. They put themselves in the water. And who knows when or if they're ever found. And I do feel for the family members that then are trying to, so and so is missing. But there's a difference between that and someone who's abducted. There's a difference between that and someone where there is a homicide and then the individual covers up and conceals the crime, and like Charlotte Lester was put into a shallow grave right on the Exeter line. There's just a big difference with that, and there's a difference of how we can cover something like that. So now this is early on. We may find that there is some kind of a match. We may find that the description they come up with, that they're trying to figure it out. It could be, who knows? It could be someone who went, we're not that far from New York City. We're not that far from Boston. Tragically, there's a lot of missing people. And right now in Foster, that's why there was a presence and the finding of human remains. And they may want to search that entire area and make sure that they catch any clues, anything around there. We don't know whoever this female is who they found in Foster, was their life taken somewhere else and then placed there, or did it happen right there? Again, that's a good question. That's an unknown. Let's go through some of the logical things. People immediately start saying, well, are there any cameras around there? Well, I mean, the police are going to check any cameras. Police are going to check if there's any type of surveillance. They first need to, number one, try to figure out if they can identify who. Right now, this is a Jane Doe. They want to be able to identify if they can identify who this is. Is it a missing female from Rhode Island? Is it a missing female from Massachusetts, Connecticut? Then it just starts to expand. This is where the FBI can also come into play with a national database. They certainly want to try to determine, if they can, how long the individual has been there. Has it been a month? Has it been a year? Has it been longer than that? We don't, right now that is unknown. We don't know how it is that the human remains in Foster, Rhode Island were found. Was it I don't know. There's a lot we don't know. So depending on if there's a match, how soon it was, maybe there is someone out there and they, many times people go along the guise of no body, no crime. That's why people get rid of the body. I'm not saying that's not a good question. That is an unknown. That is an unknown. There could be someone out there who has disappeared and it was very suspicious, and there's someone on the radar, so to speak, of law enforcement, but they could never find the body. That was the Charlotte Lester case. They had everything on Mark Perkins other than the body. Why don't they charge anyway? Because I'll tell you why in just a moment. Folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by J. Perry Paving. Call them today for all your paving needs, 401 732 1730. Free estimate, letter J, J. Perry Paving. I think winter is over. So I think you could start to call them if you're thinking of a paving project, driveway or parking lot. Letter J, J. Perry Paving, 401 732 1730. Look for them on Facebook. The thing about the issue, I should say, of charging someone when you don't have the body, a lot of people may not realize this, but the court system that I've learned, it's very transactional and it's very systematic. I just want you to realize that many times there's several boxes that have to be checked just preliminary when you're in front of the judge. And many times a good defense attorney, if the prosecution has not met that burden, the case could get tossed and then they can't bring it again. I found the Charlotte Lester case was a good example. Many people thought the police have enough to charge. In that particular case, it was Mark Perkins. And they did have a lot. They had him leaving Kent Hospital. They had her blood in his house. They had the description he gave the clerk at Cumberland Farms where he basically confessed to killing her. They had a lot, but they didn't have a body. And it's very possible with the Charlotte Lester case and Mark Perkins that it's possible they get in front of the judge and the prosecutor says, Judge, I don't see it. I don't think they've met the standard. I don't think they've met the burden. And we're going to ask that this case be tossed out. And that does happen. And what if that had happened and then they found the body? They can't charge him under double jeopardy. I know some people don't get that. I realize some people don't follow the law. There were people today's Thursday, a week ago, and over the weekend saying, as far as the caregiver with Cranston, they should bring that woman to the police station, hook her up to a lie detector machine and say, you can't leave. You can't do that. I mean, I know that sounds good, but you can't do that. That's not allowed, certainly not under the law. So my point is, a lot of people don't. It's not like let's just fake it, and then when we get there, we'll bring the case together. It doesn't work that way. And to me, the Lester case actually has become a good example. They wanted to wait until they were able to locate the body, and then they did. So with this, we don't know. There's a lot we don't know. There could be someone right now. I'll tell you who could be nervous right now would be the person or persons that are responsible for the human remains being found there. We don't know enough of the area they were found, buried. I don't know. And the thing is, no one knows, I should say, because police haven't released that. There's many aspects of this that they're not going to release for different reasons. Folks, this portion of our program is brought to you by Watson Materials. Call today, 401-885-0600, 401-885-0600, Watson Materials. Call them, request a quote at 401-885-0600. Landscape lighting, pavers, retaining walls, natural stone, cobblestone, decorative stone, Watson Materials. The most complete selection of landscape materials in Rhode Island. Call Sean 401 885 0600. I also want to mention there was a double homicide in Brockton over the weekend. And I put together, I should say, just a little blurb of a wanted. I mean, the police are looking for someone that they believe is connected and responsible for that. And the family of the young girl that was shot and killed. Let me just pull this up quickly because, in doing what I do, there's a lot of annoying individuals. And one of them showed themselves yesterday. All right, I put this together. I did. The family, 22-year-old Da Vinci Leonard, is wanted for double murder in Brockton Saturday night. The victims, Tamari Albertson, 15, Savannah Alvarez, 18. Murder took place at the Westgate Mall in front of the Chipotle. Leonard is considered armed and dangerous. Now, the family reached out to me and said, we've heard and we believe he's hiding in Rhode Island. Now, the whole reason I put this out is because there could be someone where someone says, hey, would you mind, a friend of mine's visiting and he needs to stay at your apartment? Is that okay or whatever? The reason I put this out is because it's very possible that someone is either associating with this person or hiding this person unknowingly. And so we put it out to spread the word. There was this obnoxious person because the family asked me to put that their information was that he was hiding in Rhode Island. So it's not just confined. Brockton's not far. Brockton's less than an hour from Rhode Island. So the father of the girl contacted me and asked if I would, and I did. I made up the little, I mean, it's not that complicated, but I made up the flyer and put that together for him. And I feel terrible. There it is. I won't say his name, but he contacted me on Instagram. I need your help. My daughter was murdered this past weekend in Brockton. They're saying the killer might be in the Rhode Island area. Could you please post this on your page? What? No. What am I going to say? No. Of course. I looked into it and I posted that. So he has an on-again, off-again girlfriend. The suspect say that he was in the Rhode Island area. Still can't find him. So we live in Providence. Thank you. I'm the stepdad of the suspect. Do you know there was this obnoxious individual like, can I see the press release that he's hiding in Rhode Island? Can I see that? Like, where did you get this? Where did you get what are you, hiding him? Someone named Tammy? I am not here to answer questions, folks. I am trying to help. Tammy, I don't even know what her last name is. What are you hiding the suspect? Can I see this? Can I see the press? Let me see where you got the... Who do you think you're talking to? I'm not here to answer questions. Listen, the father of a murder victim asked me to post something because we have a big following. I mean, between Instagram and Facebook, that's over 160,000 followers right there. So I did it to help the family, not answer your innate... Listen, I'll tell you what, this person, again, people are foolish on social media. Just scroll past. You think I'm here to answer your questions? Just keep going. That's not happening. I'm trying to help the father of a teen that was murdered Saturday night. So not answer your questions. And many times in situations like this, listen, he seems like a good guy. Approach me in the right manner. Feel terrible about it. He lives in Providence. child was killed in Brockton, and he hears the killer may be hiding in Providence, which would not be totally out of the question. It's not like it's in another state or something like that. I mean, as far as, it's not in Arizona. This didn't happen in Idaho. Brockton to Providence, very conceivable the person is bouncing back and forth. So, folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by Modern Mechanical. Now, this time of year, maybe it's time to make sure that your central air conditioning is working well. Central air conditioning repair and maintenance, ductless air conditioning installation, ductless air conditioning repair and maintenance, Modern Mechanical, boiler repair and maintenance, furnace repair and maintenance, heater repair and maintenance, water heater installation, Modern Mechanical. Call Richard, 401-441-5442. I've gotten great feedback from many of you that have called them. And if you're in need of any of those services, call Modern Mechanical. I've already received feedback from so many of you that you called them and they fixed your boiler or fixed your furnace or heater or central air conditioning. Modern Mechanical. Call them, 401-441-5442. It was the same thing over the weekend, that when certain situations hit, like the missing woman, Linda, people just, they think it's their role to just ask questions. We don't have time to answer all these questions. We're just trying to put the word out. Some of you, like most people, they don't, but they're so full of themselves. Just listen. Either you can help or you can't. Either you saw the person or you didn't. Someone could be like, hey, wait a minute. I recognize that guy. I saw him over at my friend's cousin. I wondered what he was doing in the garage. Right? 22-year-old Da Vinci Leonard. There he is. Oh, that explains it. He showed up Sunday morning, and he's been staying in my cousin's garage since Sunday. Oh, I wondered who that is. Yeah, he's wanted for a double homicide in Brockton. So that's why we posted. Let me see who are you? Who are these people? Let me explain who you are to be asking questions. No, I have no idea. Folks, it has to be my kind nature that people feel so comfortable not only asking questions, but thinking that I'm actually going to answer their questions. And if that is the case, I apologize in advance. As I like to say many times, I apologize if somehow I conveyed the vibe or the feeling that anyone cared what you listen. It's just share it. Just share it, and maybe someone's going to recognize it. If you don't recognize the person, which is going to be about 99% of the people, then just keep rolling. Just keep scrolling. And I want to remind people, I don't mean to go on a rant here. I want to remind people, the thing about Facebook is if you're on it, everyone's got their own page. You can post whatever you want on your page. Just keep going. We were getting that Friday and Saturday with these people. All right, enough already with the missing woman. No, it was life and death. Not, can you post something else other than the missing woman? No, keep going. Right? Like, I'm a movie theater, and that's what's showing. You don't just stand there and yell at the movie theater. Can you show another movie? Rungo. Just like that drunk last Friday night. Leave here now. No. What did I say? Let me explain something. We're going to be coming here every day and every night until we find Linda. I have no idea why you're under the impression that I in the least care whether you like that or not. And I apologize if I somehow mistakenly gave you that impression. Just keep going. Scroll by. All right, enough on the missing woman. Let's hear about some other No, there's no such thing. No, that's still a remarkable story, and there's still some interviews to come out of it. And I also, one of the local TV stations said, "Oh, and it's, she's home resting now," and actually she's not. The police said no, she's actually still hospitalized. I don't know what to make of that. I really don't know what to make. And a local TV, I won't say which one, a local TV station did say that. I have no idea what to make of that. But this Foster situation, this is an interesting one. When you get the human remains involved, it tells you obviously not only do they believe that it was foul play, but it seems that there is an unsolved homicide. Now, however, in this day and age, with all of the overdoses, I never know what to think anymore. It's very possible with some of these missing people that they OD'd and the other person, they panic and then they move the body or they try to get rid of the body. That happens. That happens more than people realize. Last night, that guy got shot in Pawtucket. He won't tell police who did it. He knows who did it and where it happened. I don't know what a normal person would be like, what? He was found shot at the Walgreens, but he didn't get shot at Walgreens, outside, not inside. And then they don't say anything. They won't cooperate. We find that a lot with Road Patrol. I'm surprised they even called for a rescue. Most of the time they just drive themselves or a friend drives them to the hospital and they don't say anything. We've covered cases where there's someone brought in to the emergency room or they show up shot at the emergency room. They won't give their name. They won't tell them how old they are. They won't tell them how allergic they are. They're lying there with gunshot wounds. And the surgeons, emergency room at Rhode Island Hospital, are attempting to stop the bleeding, remove the bullets, and save their life. They won't tell them if they're allergic to anything. It's a different culture. Folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by Quality Asphalt Seal Coating. Listen, it's simple. Call Corey, 401-283-9815. 401-283-9815. Quality Asphalt Seal Coating. They seal coat driveways and parking lots. They could do sport court resurfacing, pickleball, tennis, basketball. They epoxy garages and patios, decorative concrete flooring. They can make your pavement look like new. Call Corey, free estimate, Quality Asphalt Seal Coating, whether you're watching or listening. 401-283-9815. 401-283-9815. Quality Asphalt Seal Coating. Well, folks, good afternoon. Last night, as I said, that was a little bit of a tough situation. We're in Pawtucket. We're hearing about the situation in Foster. With the human remains, that's a better scene daytime. For instance, when we were in Coventry and you had all the FBI agents and they were searching that plot of land. Okay, it's daytime, so we can see what the hell's going on. Out in the woods, nighttime, that's a tough visual. And I mean, that's way out. So that's if not impossible, by the way. And the state police, they like to keep a safe distance, so to speak. They put you back a little bit farther than some of the other police departments. All right, it is Thursday. It is March 27th. We'll bring you the latest. We find anything. Now, if you're listening to the radio, stay tuned. 2 o'clock news is coming. If you are watching, yes, we will be out. Road Patrol Live later. By the way, it'll be subscriber only. Road Patrol Live tonight. Subscriber only. Jump on, 49 cents. We're going to see you later on for Road Patrol. control live.